All right. So, as Dave said, we are a consortium. Whoop, that sounded weird. Consortium for space mobility and ISAM capabilities. It's a national organization that is sponsored by NASA. And I'm going to show you a quick trailer video so that you can follow up on it if you want to. But the video is entitled Crossroads, Cosmic Crossroads, Building the Space Superhighway.
You know, if you look at the number of launches to space today, it's growing like crazy. We have more satellites than we've ever had before.
And what that means is space is getting more crowded.
Traditionally, we launch a spacecraft never to touch it again.
When you run out of fuel on your satellite, that's the end of your mission.
But what if we could design satellites that were able to be repaired or refueled or upgraded? With space robotics, we can do more.
We can extend the life of those satellites.
That means we can do more in space for less.
Maybe we can make that round trip faster. Maybe we can do it with less fuel.
Think about the science, all the new discoveries.
This is stuff that we know how to do today.
Imagine like the highway system for cars. We can build a highway in space, right?
If we do that, if you need fuel or if you need upgrades, there's a place to get it. If you break down, you can get towed to where you need to be.
It's just going to open up this whole world of possibilities that nobody ever thought was possible before.
It's hard to imagine expanding the human race into the solar system without the use of robotics.
So that video is available on our website. It's hosted on YouTube, but it's a 15-minute video that really shows the promise and the current activities in this area. But just for an overview of COSMIC, it's a consortium, it's national, it's free, it's made up of industry, academia, and government. The mission is to create this nationwide alliance that promotes U.S. leadership in ISAM. And we want to make, ultimately, ISAM a part of routine operations in space, so we don't even think about it. 5 activities that we're undertaking within the consortium. Assemble stakeholders, improve communications, bring people together, really. Assess ISAM opportunities and the needs, incentivize collaboration, and finally, to encourage adoption of open standards. Now, we aren't a standards body. We're not even a standards generating body. There's an organization called CONFERS that works in the international space to develop and promulgate standards through the standards organizations like AIAA. How are we structured? We've got a steering committee made up of representatives from industry, academia, and government, and they help shape the direction of the consortium. There's a consortium management entity, and that's where Aerospace has been involved in creating the management structure and keeping the trains running on time, doing things like going out and doing this here, and some of my colleagues are here helping me today. The 3 caucuses are from our 3 member classes of industry, academia, and government, and then we have 5 focus areas that we think are fundamental to the mission that we have to make ISAM a regular part of operations. So research and technology, demonstration infrastructure, missions and ecosystems, workforce development, and policy and regulation. In each of those focus areas, there are products being developed, from the host of white papers on critical technologies for ISAM development to understanding where to go do tests. If you're a small company that wants to advance and mature your ISAM capabilities, your technology, you need places to test. So developing that catalog of where do I go to test what I have. One of the ones that I'm going to highlight a little bit today is Missions and Ecosystems, which is developing a cross-disciplinary roadmap or mission thread for ISAM. That's one of the missing links, we think, in the broader community is the end-to-end integrated mission thread that helps us understand how to get from what we know today to what we want to be tomorrow. Our policy and regulation focus area is helping the community understand what the challenges are from a policy standpoint, from a regulatory standpoint. In fact, Audrey Allison in the back here is the focus area lead for that particular entity. And then finally, workforce development, which I'll also highlight and ties in nicely to the most recent presentation. How do we develop that workforce that is savvy, has the skills in the technology areas that are needed, the policy areas, the economic areas, all those things together that help this move forward towards our goal. So let's talk about this cross-focus area integrated use case. It's something that we started at just before our national meeting, which we called Convergence. That was in June in Los Angeles. The Missions and Ecosystems team developed the fundamental concept, the operating concept, and it describes a number of use cases. They looked at a number of use cases, but this one is geo refueling. So why would you do geo refueling, not LEO? Well, first of all, most LEO stuff is, if you can get to one, you're not going to get to the rest. Geo is a lot easier to do, and that's where we ascertain that the most high-value assets that might benefit from refueling are located. We looked at the research and technology aspects of it. What technology is missing? What needs to be researched and matured that raise the TRL? Where do we test and demonstrate? Ultimately combining inputs from policy and regulation. So what are the policy and regulatory hurdles that help us get through from start to finish? And ultimately combine those inputs, which is ongoing right now in this month. So what does a geo refueling mission look like? Well, let's see if I think I've got a laser, but I don't know if it's going to work. Nope, and I'm not going to look at it. We start with launch in early orbit. We put a servicer on orbit. In fact, you might have heard of MRV, Mission Northrop Grumman Space Logistics Corporation. I think of it as RSGS, which is the DARPA program that Northrop Grumman has taken over. This is kind of the avatar for that. Mission Robotic Vehicle, thank you. So MRV is kind of the exemplar of what's going to happen. They're supposed to launch either late this year or early next year and go up and service geo satellites that are not necessarily or are not prepared for servicing. They're going to add pods to them. But the idea is similar. If you were going to go up and refuel, you need to launch your refueler, get into orbit, get checked out, get a customer, get to the customer, RPO and dock, refuel, disconnect, egress, go back on parking orbit until you get another call, next customer. And then there'll be end of life and all the disposal that needs to happen there, and then resupply of the refueler as well. So you can read the list of things that we're looking at, and we are developing that for the community to rally around and understand where they plug in. And also, one of the things we've heard from the government, particularly DoD, is we don't have the use case that we need for us to rally the Congress and to rally industry and to bring investors in and to bring money in from the appropriations process. So there are a number of benefits to having this end-to-end mission thread or use case that are beyond just what any individual caucus or entity is interested in. So I'm not going to go into detail on these, but what we've got here is a breakdown, a description of the various activities and things that you have to consider that might lead to technology problems or challenges, not problems, challenges. And there are also issues with policy and regulation. What if your satellite you're refueling is from another nation? How does a U.S. vehicle refuel another nation? Is there an international policy or treaty that's going to be required to address that? And then if you go beyond that to servicing and you're sticking something on there like MRV is going to do, how is that a technology transfer? So does that become an ITAR problem? All kinds of challenges there that we haven't figured out yet. And that's what the goal of the consortium is to help get through those challenges so that we can do this on a regular basis. So here's where we're at in the timeline. It's a little bit behind. I updated this last night, but Parker didn't have it. But we're now in July, and we are at this getting feedback from members on the content of the use case, the implementation, and refining it so that it can be released to our community for their use. So this is what we think is one of the more important, though seemingly simple things that's absolutely missing from the ecosystem for ISAM right now. So this is where we're at, or how we're going about it. Once we release this one, we'll go on to the next one, and we've got a meeting coming up in August to try and prioritize what those next use cases will be that we're going to release, because we want to make sure that we're spending the effort on the right things. And that effort comes from our members. It's not Aerospace doing this work. This is a member-supported, a member-run organization. So industry, academia, and government are the ones developing products. We're just trying to help facilitate and create the environment where they can collaborate. So I've spread around at least one baseball card on some of these, on the little benches out here, little stools out here, but we've developed a number of baseball cards to help communicate what these use cases are. And you can pick those up. There's stickers and pins and all kinds of stuff. And our poster over here, and I'll show you how to join here in a little bit. But these baseball cards are, as you can see there, the folks that developed them, Joe Guzman, Space Cowboy, is a small company that is doing great things. Quentin Duden from Space Logistics Corporation, which is the Northrop Grumman subsidiary that's doing MRV. So trying to raise awareness and communicate, something you can hold in your hand and see, oh, I see what you're talking about now. Here's the one that I wanted to talk about from a workforce development standpoint. Our Cosmic Capstone Challenge, or C3 as we call it, we started it last year. We had 33 schools or teams involved from about a dozen universities and high schools. So we're getting down in primary school as well as up into the universities. And this is a capstone design challenge. Last year, it was very focused on a single series of 3 functional capabilities, functional operations that fostered an ISAM capability. It's expanding this year. We're looking to grow to about 100 schools or 100 teams. And the way we go about this is we present problems to professors, to faculty advisors, to AIAA faculty members as a way to introduce ISAM and space into the curriculum in the capstone design process. So I mentored a team at the Air Force Academy last year. They decided they wanted to 3D print a rail system to create large space structures in space rather than launching a. They thought they might be able to grow a kilometer-long rail. I had questions about that, but it was their design project, so I let them run with it. But the point is, you can't launch a kilometer-long rail or a kilometer's worth of large space structure. You have to do that in space, and so they approached that from a 3D printing standpoint. This coming year, we've got 4 tracks: manufacturing, servicing, assembly, and then a lunar track as well. And you can see there are some companies or programs aligned with each of those. On the top is Arcasys, which is a small company that's one of our member companies in Cosmic. Artemis, we all know. San Diego State University's solar panel repair concept, Orion, is actually one of the outcomes from last year's C3. So, and they were very successful in their design and the competition that ended up winning them some money. So that's our approach, is to engender competition, do design, creative design, conceptual design, and take it to presentation. Say again? Oh, absolutely. So the advisors and judges and mentors that are part of this project come from our membership. It's people who have expertise in the area, who can bring something to mentor, to share experiences, and just push things forward for the students to create the environment where they grow, we grow. Sometimes we get good candidates for our organizations to join us. So this is one of the things, and the QR code on the top there will give you a link to the C3 program. And it also, once you get to that page, you get the opportunity to drive around a little bit and you can find membership, but also I have a QR code for that in a little bit. So, in a nutshell, Cosmic is a national consortium made up of industry, academia, and government trying to push U.S. leadership forward for ISAM.
We have more satellites than we've ever had
We-
before.
And what that means is space is getting more crowded.
And I don't know if you want to see this again. I can go back to it, but I want to get the
Traditionally, we launch a spacecraft,
membership.
never to touch it again.
When you run out.
There we go. Let's do the membership one, and then I can put the video back up. So if you're interested, QR code will get you there. The only limitation is it's a U.S. person's organization because it's intended to foster U.S. leadership. So that's the only real criteria. And as I said, the price is really good. It's free. Questions? All right, Parker has baseball cards. We've got stickers, pins. Please put a pin on. We want you to have your flair on your lanyard so that you can share what Cosmic's doing. People can have a look. All right. Oh, question.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you for the presentation. I'm representing a small business called Translunar. We are developing autonomous navigation systems for satellites, and ISAM is our passion. We want to enable that, and I think it's going to be revolutionary. My question is, in the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned that non-cooperative satellites and systems might have some pods, and I was curious about what you meant by pods specifically.
the Mission Robotic Vehicle, Northrop Grumman Space Logistics Corporation, is developing, they have the MEV, Mission Extension Vehicle. The next generation of that are the Mission Extension Pods. The pods attach similarly, but they are for unprepared spacecraft, and so they will deliver those and install those using the Mission Robotic Vehicle. So that is the concept. It started as a DARPA program called RSGS. RSGS is a public-private partnership between DARPA Naval Research Lab and Northrop Grumman Space Logistics Corporation. That partnership will deliver the first pod to a pre-designated spacecraft, and after that, it becomes Northrop Grumman's to use as their business model allows them to go forward and service other vehicles, like they are doing with MEV now.
Okay, so essentially an interface to actually dock and service these satellites.
So this is, rather than servicing the vehicle, it's augmenting. So you attach to the ring, you provide additional propellant and thrust, and that's really the mission extension aspect of it. So it's not putting fuel in the tanks, it's adding a tank with fuel and thrusters.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. And if anybody's here from Northrop Grumman and wants to correct that, I'm happy. Over there. There's a question over here.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. With the student capstone competition or work, what's the timeline for that each year? Like when
It is an academic year program.
Yeah, but when do we have to register with you and get the information to our student? You know, like
That's really on your timeline. So if your university is already a member, in fact, you don't necessarily have to be a member of Cosmic to have a C3 capstone project. Not everybody is. So that's actually one of the areas where we're having a broader community and we're bringing in. So snap the QR code if it's interesting, go. Reach out and we'll get you going.
okay, thanks.
Okay, yeah, we've got some preferred dates. Registration is August 4th. For student teams, the first virtual onboarding session will be September 9th. Late registration, kind of deadline, if drop dead date, October 13th. Have a midpoint showcase in December, and then presentations and judging in April. And that, yeah, mentors, advisors, judges, those folks can come on board at any time along the process. Earlier the better for mentors, right? That's you're trying to help those teams move along. In the end, we do in-person and virtual presentations. Last year we had those presentations in El Segundo and at Goddard. This year, some of the sponsors that you saw, the companies that are involved, would actually like to do that at their locations. So you get the opportunity for your students to visit with a company that's in this business area, in this mission area. And there's some ideas for ways to really make this exciting for them in providing facilities to actually try out your design and see if it works in the environment. All right, folks, thanks very much.